The most dangerous moment in Jon Snow's life arrives as a question disguised as a weapon. Across a burning courtyard, Ygritte holds his death in her hands. She could release. She doesn't. And in that silence, something deeper than love or honor shows itself, a choice that neither of them will survive. To calculate the atmospheric pressure of this castle-black courtyard, we must understand what each of these people needed from the other and what they were forbidden to take. Jon Snow returned from beyond the wall, having violated every oath he swore. He was a wildling spy, a traitor. The Night's Watch accepted him back only because the living needed every body against the dead. Ygritte came south on Mance Rayder's orders, not as a woman, but as a soldier. Their time in that cave was not a future. It was a temporary mercy in a war both of them knew had no mercy. Ygritte was brought to Castle Black as a prisoner, a hostage, a declaration of Mance's power. She was given one role: march south and watch the boy who had loved you turn his back on everything you offered. She was given a bow and a command: kill the boy. Prove your loyalty above your want. Jon was given something worse. He was given the knowledge that she was coming, and he was given no permission to prevent it. When the battle erupted, it was the first time since the cave that they could see each other without lying about why. The courtyard filled with fire and blood. And then Ygritte found him in the chaos with an arrow drawn, her hands trembling on the string.
Don't talk.
Recognition, what happens in this moment is not what the show tells you. Jon does not ask her why she couldn't kill him. Ygritte does not explain her hesitation. Instead, both of them immediately revert to a pattern that has been broken only once. They return to the architecture of duty. Jon tells her not to speak. Ygritte speaks anyway. He is trying to protect her from the weight of her own words. She is refusing that protection. This is displacement redirection, the psychic mechanism by which a person transfers the pain of their actual wound onto a more manageable target. The real wound is that they chose the world over each other. That wound is too large to hold, so they redirect it onto the smaller wound of her dying. He tells her not to talk. She chooses to speak her final judgment anyway, not as forgiveness, but as a final assertion of authority.
You remember that cave? I should have stayed in that cave. We'll go back there.
The cave was the only place where Jon and Ygritte could exist without hierarchy, without the Night's Watch, without the wildlings, without the war. But the cave was never real. It was a pocket of suspended time that the world outside was designed to destroy. When Ygritte says they should have stayed, she is not asking a question about the past. She is making a statement about the present. She is saying, this is what happens when you choose the world. The world eats you. Jon knows this, and he lies. We'll go back there. They will not go back. There is no cave anymore. The cave was murdered the moment he walked away. He is not comforting her. He is erasing her. He is telling a dying woman a story instead of telling her the truth, that some choices cannot be unmade, and that he made them anyway.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Refsel. These are not her last words of love. They are her last words of judgment. Ygritte repeats the phrase that has defined their entire relationship. You know nothing, Jon Snow, because it was always true. He did not know that choosing duty would cost him her. He did not know that the world would turn a child into the hand that killed her. He did not know that love and honor are not compatible in a world built on fire. He knew nothing. And she is making sure that as she dies, he understands that his knowledge remains incomplete. She will not forgive him. She will not absolve him. She will leave him exactly where she found him, a boy who understood nothing. Ego state rigidity. The final insistence on identity, even as the self is being unmade, a refusal of mercy that is itself a form of mercy because it does not permit him the comfort of absolution. Ygritte does not soften in her final moment. She hardens. She holds her judgment of him the way she held her bow. Her hands may tremble, her breath may fail, but her verdict does not change. This is what love looks like when it cannot be permitted to exist, not as a gentle goodbye, but as a final, cold reckoning. The battle continues around them. The Night's Watch is still fighting. The others are still waiting beyond the wall. The world does not pause for a boy holding a dead woman. And Jon already knows the choice he has made. He has chosen the world. He will choose it again. Every time he chooses it, he will remember her weight in his arms. Every time he remembers, he will lie to himself about why he made that choice. But here is what the show never told you. In the books, Jon Snow never witnesses the moment Ygritte is shot. She dies alone beyond the wall while he is inside Castle Black. He learns of her death later, as a rumor, as a piece of intelligence, as a report that someone brings to him in a room where no one is watching his face. The show chose to put him in her arms. George R.R. Martin kept them apart even in death. This is the crucial difference, and it changes everything about what we understand from their relationship. The television version allows Jon the mercy of closure. He gets to hold her. He gets to hear her final words. He gets to carry the weight of her body against his chest and grieve her with the world watching. There is catharsis. There is an ending. There is a moment where he can say goodbye, even if the goodbye is wordless. The show gives him the gift of presence at the moment of her death. The novel version is crueler. It forces him to grieve a woman he will never see again, based only on a story someone told him. There is no final moment. There is no goodbye. There is no body to hold. There is only the hollow report that she is gone and the silence that follows. Jon is left to reconstruct her death in his mind, to wonder if the report was true, to imagine 1,000 different endings because he will never know which one actually happened. The show's version, with all its emotional devastation, is actually mercy. It gives Jon the closure that the world did not give him. The book's version is closer to truth. Sometimes people die, and you don't get to say anything to them. Sometimes the world takes them quietly, and you are left with only what you might have said. Sometimes you learn someone was gone weeks after they died. Sometimes you learn it from a stranger. Sometimes you don't learn it at all, and you spend years wondering if they are still alive somewhere beyond the horizon, waiting for you to come back. This is why Jon becomes what he becomes. Not because he got to hold her, but because in a world where he could be robbed of even that moment, holding her means nothing. In a world where people die alone and no one carries the weight of their body, his grief is a luxury. His closure is a privilege, and he knows it. The show's mercy is the cruelest mercy. It shows him what he could have had and then takes it away forever. The book suggests something darker, that Jon never even gets the chance to hold her body, that he only gets a story, that he spends the rest of his life not knowing if that story was real or if Ygritte died, thinking he had abandoned her, thinking he did not care, thinking their time in the cave meant nothing. That uncertainty never leaves him. It becomes the wound that shapes him. The real-world extraction from this moment is complex. There are choices that feel right in the moment but hollow out the person making them over time. They feel right because they are. They feel right because Jon chose duty. He chose honor. He chose the greater good. And he chose correctly. Jon did the honorable thing. He left the cave. He returned to the Night's Watch. He chose duty over personal happiness. He chose responsibility over love. He chose to be the person that thousands of people depended on, rather than the person that one woman wanted him to be. By every measure of honor and integrity, he made the right choice. And duty cost him the one person who understood that he was more than just his duty. Duty cost him the woman who saw him in the cave. Not as a black brother, not as a spy, not as a lord-in-waiting, but as a boy who could be happy. The cave was the only place where Jon was not defined by what he owed other people. It was the only place where he could be something other than responsible. And he left it. He walked away from it. He chose the world that needed him over the person who loved him. Every subsequent decision Jon makes, every time he chooses responsibility over connection, every time he chooses the weight of leadership over the mercy of peace, every time he sacrifices his own life for the survival of the realm, traces back to this moment. In that moment, he learned that choosing correctly means choosing to be alone. He learned that honor and love are not compatible. He learned that the people you owe everything to will never love you the way one person could. This is the cost of being right. The cost is that you may be right, but you will be right alone. Some people spend their entire lives paying off a debt that was incurred in a single moment of choosing correctly. They choose duty again and again and again, not because they believe in it anymore, but because that first choice, the one in the cave, the one where they said no to love, established the pattern. Once you choose duty, it becomes harder and harder to choose anything else. Once you prove to yourself that you can walk away from the person you love most, everything else feels easier. Everything else feels like the only choice. Jon Snow does not become the person he becomes because of a moment of weakness. He becomes that person because of a moment of strength. He becomes that person because he was right, because he did the honorable thing, because he chose correctly, and he will never recover from it. Here's the question I want to leave you with. Was Ygritte right to refuse to kill Jon, Or was she right to judge him for leaving? And if both things were true at the same time, what does that tell you about the nature of love in a world built on betrayal? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you in the next.